Story time. My name is Miranda Barber, and I'm here to help you to recognize and resist toxic relationships. Love bombing has been discussed in my course, the Smart Heart course, and I wanted to give some examples from my life and experience on how love bombing occurred. First, um, I spent a lot of time alone in my household. Everyone in my home was doing their own thing, so a lot of times I would go without eating. And so when I met the abuser, he would call and say, "Hey, have you eaten?" And of course I haven't, and he would always make sure that I ate. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he was making a phone call, taking me to pick something up. Even if we didn't spend time, he was taking me to get something to eat. So that was one vulnerability that I had that he was able to identify and then come in and without asking for anything in return, without um making a big deal of it. It was almost just like, let me just check on her, make sure she ate, and then, take me to get whatever I want to eat and then bring me back home. Even if, like I said, even if we didn't go anywhere or spend time together, he made sure he stopped by to make sure that I had something to eat. And so what that did was made me comfortable and it made me believe at that time that this was somebody who I could depend on and somebody who cared about me. And even though, we're not talking about, expensive meals or anything like that, it wasn't even about that because I'm not and never have been a materialistic person. It was just about the thought and the fact that somebody would and like most people, who are non-materialistic, it's just about the fact that you thought about me and that, you were concerned in the area that, I was insecure about, for many years even. So that was one instance of the love bombing. It wasn't about, in this case with me and the relationship that I was in, it wasn't about, going shopping and buying things like that. He was making sure that I ate. Another instance, that occurred was I had a lot of issues at home. My father was a raging alcoholic, and we would often have arguments. My mom worked midnights. She was not supportive in that area as far as my dealings with my father. My sibling and I aren't close. And so I was just dealing with all these things alone. And as I had been for many years, because at this time I was had already graduated high school. I was a freshman in college. And so I'm still dealing with all of this stuff. I was debating whether or not I should go live on campus or not, to get away from everything. Excuse me. But unfortunately, I didn't even make the decision quick enough because I'd already I met the abuser who was very clearly about to take me completely off of my life path at that time. And so I said, I'm tired, I'm dealing with this stuff at home. I need to go visit my friend at NIU, and I'm just gonna spend the weekend with her and just kind of unwind and just detach from all the madness going on at home. And he was like, "No, no, no, you don't need to go out of town. You don't need to go see your friend. I'll get us a hotel room, and we can just chill together and hang out together." And so, at first I was like, my bestie is, she at the time was like encouraging me to come down and I wanted to go, but I ended up not going and I ended up going to the hotel room with him. So it became not necessarily a routine, but we ended up doing it about 5 times, going to the hotel, spending just a night or two just so I could just clear my mind and just get away from the toxicity at home. And, once again, made sure I eat. If he had things he had to do, he would leave and come back and whatever, and I just had time to just be by myself and just to be at peace. Now, what made this abusive was after so many times of us going to the hotel, he wanted his money back. And he demanded that I give him his money back. And so we got into numerous fights. And I say fights, but I didn't fight back. He would say, you need to give me my money back. You owe me this amount for this and this amount for that. And he told me I spoke to people in his life about it, and that I should be paying for the rooms too, and that he shouldn't be coming out of pocket paying for these rooms when I never asked to go to be in these rooms in the first place. So the first time we had the argument, I said, I didn't ask to go to these rooms in the first place. I asked to go see my friend for free and do my own thing. And you insisted that we go to and then it became abuse. It became me getting abused. And every time I would go talk back or just say my point of view, because I don't even want to say talking back, because this is not a parent-child relationship. This is supposed to be two equal people, you know. And so anytime I would defend myself, then I would get punched in the face, or I would get, punched in my arm, or I would the different things that will be thrown at me. And so I would just learn eventually not to say anything at all. And so every time I saw him after that, he would go on and on and on about me owing him money, and how if he don't get his money, he's going to do damage to my car. He's going to do damage to my parents' home. He's going to do all of these things. And I know he's capable of these things because by this time I'd already seen the damage that he's willing to go to get what he wants out of people. And so I ended up going to my therapist because I was in therapy due to the abusive relationship. And she told me that the university had an emergency fund for students when you have something that comes up and you're in a bind, that you could take out an additional emergency loan and it will go to your loan balance. And she told me about that. And so I went to the student aid office and took out a loan to pay him back for all of the hotel rooms that we spent together those times. Um, and I end up obviously having to pay that loan back, but that pretty much shut him up so that he stopped abusing me and screaming at me and constantly fighting me um, for those couple of weeks until I was able to figure it out.